Hey YouTube, Everyman Prepping here. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for doing all the great YouTube stuff, liking the video, subscribing, sharing the video. And today we're going to talk about looters. The looters are coming. There's been a natural disaster, hurricane, tornado, flood, earthquake, or it's civil unrest. It's a civil breakdown, Shtf. Something's happened and there's a high probability that looters are coming. And what do you need to do? What should you have done already? And what can you do as soon as something happens to protect your home from looters or get them to go somewhere else? You know, how to make it's not as desirable to come to your house and go to someone else's. This could be as easy as there's two choices. I'm thinking you're going to either go gray man, or you're going to lock up the house, go dark, and pretend like there's nobody there, there's nothing there, or you're going to be more open. You know, you're going to do something like you see here. This is recently from Florida here. You know, loot and I shoot. You loot, I shoot. You see those signs all the time. First of all, for legal reasons, depending on the state you live, county where you live, some defense lawyers might say that you're going to get yourself in trouble with those signage if something does go down and you have to use your self-defense tool to do that if you're advertising ahead of time. But, you know, do what you're comfortable with, research your local laws and all that. But if you're putting that sign out, and your doors are open and, windows are open, you have stuff out, you're going the approach of come and take it. I'm here. I'm not afraid of you. So that's the other approach. The I'm here, come and take it. You know, you're warning them, move along. Or you can go the lockdown, gray man, blackout. It looks like nothing's there, no one's there, and hope they just pass you by. So that's kind of the two methods you can go through this. And then I want to talk about some notes I have here on what you can do. I'm going to start off at the perimeter. What can you do on the perimeter? You know, if you're a house like this in a suburb, you don't have a gate. You have some side fencing and probably some back fencing, but there's no front gate here. So you can't really lock it off. What you'd probably want to do is clean out your garage enough to get your vehicles in the garage. That way they can't be looted. Someone can't hide behind them. They're not cover. They're not concealment for the bad guys. You want to clear out the front as much as possible so you can see what is coming to your house. If you have a gate or you're in a more of a rural setting, you probably have fencing, you have a gate, lock that gate down. Put something in a vehicle, old vehicle, tractor to block that gate so they can't come through it. You just want to make sure you secure that avenue of approach into your property to begin with. What else can you do? I highly suggest investing in some barbed wire. You can get it at a Tractor Supply or Murdoch's or whatever it may be. But get yourself some barbed wire. Where can you put barbed wire? Well, in this house, even you could string it across the driveway. When you get the barbed wire, you got to get yourself some stakes, some T-posts. Okay, got to buy those too. But if he had a place where on each side and he could run, barbed wire across there, it's going to slow someone down, going to deter them to go somewhere else. You can also put it across, this stairway going up into the second floor to the front. You lace that with some barbed wire across there, a couple rows, slow them down. Across any openings, whether it be doors, windows, you can put it on the outside as well. Barbed wire is relatively inexpensive. It's not as cheap as it used to be, of course, but I'd have a couple 300-400 foot rolls on hand, string it up. It's a great deterrent. No one wants to mess with barbed wire when they've only come with their looting clothes and not even gloves or anything to protect their hands if they have to go through it. You can also put it on fences if you have even side and back fences. Put it along the top. Roll it across the top, attach it. You're gonna need staples, nails, screws. Think of things like that. You're gonna need to attach all the stuff. Even zip strips, whatever you're going to use, other wire, 10 gauge wire, 12 gauge wire, 14 gauge to wire it up to something. Is it impenetrable? No. It's going to slow them down? Yes. Will it deter them? Probably. So invest in some barbed wire. Then let's talk about, you're probably going to, most looting happens at night. If it's going on during the day, you're really into an SHTF and you're really going to have to up your guard. But let's say it's just started and you have to have a night watch. Looters come out at night. So are you going to be solo, doing it just for your house, or is it a neighborhood thing? If you're solo just in your house and you're watching at night, are you up all night yourself? Are you rotating out with other family members? Are you, you and your spouse, your partner, whoever it may be, the other adults, are you rotating through? You got to come out with a plan, a watch plan. Who's got first watch? Who's got last watch? Who's doing the middle? How many hours? figure it out now. Have a plan, write it down, keep it, store it somewhere where when something happens, you go and reference it and find out, oh yeah, here's our watch schedule. This is what we're going to do. And then while you're doing this watch in your house, you pick a place where, you're going to watch from. Are you going outside and walking the perimeter of your house, or are you just staying inside? If you're going outside, of course, you have your self-defense tool on you, maybe any body armor you might have, bulletproof vest, whatever you might have for protection, and you're walking the perimeter. But practice it in the dark. You don't want to have lights on, right? Maybe electricity's out, there's no lights. Do it now. Go out at night, walk around, see what you stumble over, see what you fall down on. Make a path now. Learn it in your head where that path is. Where you're gonna go, front and backyard and sides. And if you're doing it from the house, are you up on this high ground here? If you have a 2-story, are you in this window, to the left? Are you watching? Or you just put a ladder over the fence and you're observing through a fence so you stay hidden? Have a plan. Where are you observing your house from? How often are you going out there? How often do you make your rounds? Are they random so no one gets used to what you're doing? Think about all those things. If it's a neighborhood thing, you got some great neighbors. You're going to pull a neighborhood watch, and you're going to wander the neighborhood from house to house. Well, make sure you have communications. Make sure you have radios, walkie-talkie, a ham radio. And I know I just triggered a bunch of old school ham guys that are saying, "Oh, you got to be licensed to use a ham." No, you don't. Not an emergency. And if people are looting, it's an emergency. So everybody, all you ham geeks out there, just chill out about being licensed. If people are looting your neighborhood, it's emergency. Go ahead and talk on that ham radio. So make sure you and your neighbors that are doing this have a way to communicate. That way they can talk to each other. You can talk just house to house. Even if you're just staying in your houses, you can still relay information from house to house about what you see. Have code words, because, nothing's secure. Those radio waves are not secured. Have code words, have sayings, challenge and password. All that thing set up. Practice it with your neighbors. Think about all that stuff. And let's move on here. After the night watch. Oh, part of the night watch. If do you have flashlights? Of course, you probably have flashlight. You're a prepper. Do you have floodlights set up? If you see someone in the front yard, they say you shine a light and all the cockroaches scatter. Will it scatter people? It might. Do you want to shine the light with you holding it? Probably not, because then you're a target. But let's say you have a floodlight set up. It's got an extension cord. You're going to run it to a solar generator. So it's there's no gas generator around making noise. You get your solar generator, or it's a 12-volt light, whatever it may be. But you run the extension cord to it. You see someone coming, and you plug it in. You're 50 feet. You're in a concealed place. You got some cover. You turn it on. It goes. If they react to it, you're in a different spot. You can address the situation from a different location. If they scatter, that's great. But you might want to have some floodlights put up on extension cords or on switches that you can flip on to maybe scare them off. If you think turning on lights will show that you have power and bring too much attention, you might have to go a different route. But it's an idea. Also, let's move into the house. How are you going to protect the home? Let's go to more of the house. How are we going to protect the home and what we can do here? First of all, if it's going down, looters are happening, based on the legalities in your state and your community. But I would, in my opinion, I would have a self-defense tool on me at all times. Every adult that's trained, every person, doesn't have to be that's trained in that household that you feel comfortable with, maybe they're armed with some type of defense tool. Self-defense tool. But I would be armed at all times. I might even be wearing some protection from other people's self-defense tools on me while I'm doing this, even throughout the day. Get used to the weight, get used to the heat. It's something to do, but I would walk around. If you're doing the approach of I want people to see me, come and take it, maybe you're outside, you have a long gun with you and you're walking around and you got the other self-defense tool on your hip and you're letting people know, this isn't the place for you to come. Either way, have one on you. You can conceal it, not on your property. Like I said, follow all the legalities of your location there. And next thing, besides doing that so you're protected on your own, if you're here in the house, do you want to board up everything? That's something you can do. If you are in hurricane area or tornado alley, you might already have the boards cut to size. And you can board up everything on the first floor, maybe leave the second floor open. Maybe you board up everything. But when you do board, if you do board up the windows, what that does is, people, it makes it a lot harder to break in and loot, right? Because they got to tear off, especially if you put the boards on the inside, which a lot of people don't think about. A lot of people put it on the outside to protect the glass, but it can be removed, right? People could pry it off, yank it off. But if the boards are on the inside of the house, yeah, the window might break, but it's a lot harder for them to get that wood off and get in. So think about that when you're boarding up your house. Now, if you do board it up, got to have an escape plan. For safety, you got to be able to get out of there. So are a couple windows left open? Maybe you don't screw them all on. Maybe some are put on there with bolts and wing nuts. Some of the wood panels, this is only good if you're on the inside, of course. You have certain windows in the house that, are only put on there with bolts that are stuck, hanging bolts that are put in the wall. You put a wing nut on there, you can undo really quick and get out. So think about an exit plan. You always need an exit strategy when you're doing this. What you can do also for just the windows, if you don't want to board them up, you can buy safety film. And I'll put up a couple of photos here that you can see when I'm talking here about some of the stuff we can use. But you can put safety film. It makes the windows almost unbreakable. People can hit it with a hammer. All it does is crack, but doesn't shatter. You have to really work at it to get it out of there. And that's just going to slow them down, make a lot of noise, give you time to react to the situation. So there's film you can put on the windows. Good idea for sliding glass windows when you have a giant or French doors, the easy opening into the house. If you don't want to board it up, the sliding glass doors, you can put this film on there. It's easy to get. I'm not sure how hard it is to put on, but it would be something to help. You can also then put blankets or blackout covers on your windows to hide that you have any kind of generator or solar equipment so light doesn't get out. Think about covering all the windows and doors so no one can see that you have light in there, so they don't know there's something in there to loot, right? Now you want to protect, the windows should be locked. Hopefully you've got dowels in the windows, you got locks on them, they're all safe, they've got the film on them. Now you got the entry point of the doors. How are you going to protect the doors? Well, for the doors, you can put up door braces. There's different kinds of door braces. There's the ones that you put under the doorknob. There's the Nighthawk thing you screw into the floor and it stops them. There's the brackets that you can put on either side of the door and run a 2x4 across, which work very well. Get something now. Have it on hand. Now, I know some of your spouse or other roommates or whoever it might be might say, I don't want brackets sticking out. I don't want something screwed on the floor right now. I don't want, have that stuff. It's ugly, whatever. So if you run into that problem, you can have it on hand, and the first sign of natural disaster coming or a problem, install it quickly. Yeah, it puts you a little bit behind the curve, but to save peace in the house, you might have to do that. But find ways to blockade all doors. But have a way to get them down pretty easily. Most of those are sold that way. As for the second floor here, you can leave it open if you don't have any access up it, or if you've barbed wired it off, or you blocked off access to the second floor. Makes a great vantage point for you to look out. The high ground's always good to have. Keep viewing it. If you're going to board up your windows, maybe you don't board them all up because you want to have a view in it. Maybe you don't board up this one because you want to be able to view out. Or you got to have to cut a viewing port. Whatever it is, you got to have eyes on the front, the back, and the sides of the house. This could be security cameras if you have a way to power them, or they're battery powered. Could be just slots for you to look out of. Wherever you do, you should have a vantage point to look out and see what's going on. This leads to night vision. If you have the means and the money and the ability to get night vision goggles, it's a game changer. Whether it be a monocular, PVS 7, 14, whatever. Thermal imaging works great too. If you can have that and turn the night into day and be able to see when others can't, it's a huge advantage. You could go outside, look around your property, see all the way to the border, see down the street, up the street. No one else is looking around and seeing because there's no electricity, no lights, but you can see. Huge advantage. I know it's a gigantic, huge expense, so you really have to have almost everything taken care of before you get night vision, but it is definitely a force multiplier and something you should think about if you have the means to. The last few things I want to talk about while you're doing this protecting is in keeping people away, as I talked about already, is the light discipline. You kind of want to show that you don't have a ton of stuff. You don't have a generator and a solar generator that people are going to think, oh, they're prepped. They have more stuff. They probably have money. They might have precious metals. They have food. They have a lot of electronics. They have weapons, self-defense tools. Keep the light discipline down. Keep the noise discipline to a minimum. Keep the smell discipline down. Are you cooking? Are the fumes going? All that stuff. Think about all those disciplines and keep them to a minimum. And lastly, if you have your generator out and you're running it during the day with everybody else, it's probably hidden. Don't run your generator at night if you're the only one running it because they're going to hear it. Make sure the generator is in the back of the property if possible. Chained up if you can't put it. You don't want to. You're not going to run the generator indoors, even in the garage, because of the carbon monoxide. I've seen some people do it and they have a pipe from the exhaust of the generator and the pipe goes out the back door. You can try that, totally up to you. Could be totally hazardous. Definitely have carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers around, but usually you want it outside. Chain it to something. And if you're not using it at night, bring it indoors because you're not turning it on, and put it in the lock behind locked doors, brace doors, and it's protected. Don't leave it out, think nothing will happen to it because it'll probably disappear on you. That's all I have right now for this brief talk on stuff to help prevent looting. In the comment section below, please post what you do for preventing looting, to prepare now, prepare later, deter them to go to someone else's house. Things to help out anybody else. Any other ideas is great, so we can all have these things on hand that we need. We can have the training, we can practice beforehand, but let's get ready for the looters coming, especially if you're in the natural disaster and it happened. They're going to come. Get ready now so you and your family will be safe.